The Revenge of a Broken Heart. Welcome to Heart's Obsession. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories. The betrayal that changed everything. The perfect life shatters. Maya Richardson stood before the full-length mirror in her childhood bedroom, her white wedding dress flowing like a dream around her. The lace sleeves caught the morning sunlight, casting delicate shadows across her brown skin. She should have felt like a princess. Instead, something cold twisted in her stomach, a feeling she couldn't name. "You look absolutely stunning," her mother whispered, adjusting the veil with trembling fingers. Tears gathered in the older woman's eyes. "Daniel is the luckiest man alive." Maya forced a smile, trying to shake off the unease. Daniel Carter, her fiancé of 3 years, was everything she thought she wanted. Handsome, charming, successful in real estate. Together, they were the power couple everyone admired. She had built her architecture firm from nothing, and he had supported her every step of the way. Or so she believed. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. A message from an unknown number. Her fingers hesitated before opening it. "Check the garden house. Now. Before you make the biggest mistake of your life." Maya's heart hammered. The garden house was part of the venue, a small cottage behind the main hall where the ceremony would take place in 2 hours. Who would send such a message? A jealous ex? A prank? But something in her gut told her to look. "Mom, I need a moment alone," Maya said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Just some pre-wedding nerves." Her mother kissed her forehead and left, closing the door softly behind her. Maya gathered her dress and slipped out through the back entrance, her heels sinking into the grass as she made her way toward the garden house. The white structure sat peaceful among roses and jasmine, windows reflecting the blue sky. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. She reached for the door handle, and that's when she heard it. A woman's laugh. Low, familiar, intimate. Maya's hand froze. That laugh belonged to Sophia Chen, her business partner and best friend since college. The woman who helped her build Richardson and Chen Architecture from a tiny office into one of the city's most respected firms. "We should stop," Sophia's voice drifted through the crack in the door. "The wedding starts in 2 hours. Let her have her moment," a man's voice responded. Daniel's voice. "After today, everything changes anyway. Once we're married, I'll have access to her accounts, her company shares. Then we can push her out and take everything." Maya's world tilted. Her hand pressed against the doorframe to steady herself. Sophia laughed again, darker this time. "I still can't believe she trusted us." Sweet, naive Maya. "She actually thought you loved her." "Love?" Daniel scoffed. "She was a means to an end." "You think I'd actually want to spend my life with someone so boring? Always working, always serious. You, on the other hand, you know how to have fun." The sound of kissing followed. Maya pushed the door open. They sprang apart, Daniel's shirt half unbuttoned, Sophia's bridesmaid dress wrinkled and pushed up around her thighs. For a frozen moment, no one moved. Then reality crashed down like broken glass. The confrontation. "Maya," Daniel started, his handsome face shifting from shock to calculated concern. "This isn't what it looks like." Maya's laugh came out harsh and broken. "Really? Because it looks like my fiancé and my best friend have been plotting to destroy me while sleeping together. Did I miss something?" Sophia had the decency to look away, but Daniel stepped forward, reaching for Maya's arm. She jerked back as if his touch burned. Don't you dare touch me." Her voice shook with rage she didn't know she possessed. How long have you been planning this?" "Maya, let's talk about this rationally," Daniel said, his tone shifting to the smooth, persuasive voice he used in business deals. "You're upset, I understand, but answer the question." Maya's shout echoed through the garden. Sophia finally spoke, her voice cold. "Since the beginning. Daniel approached me 6 months before he even asked you out. We saw an opportunity. You were brilliant, talented, and completely blind to how the world really works. We needed your skills to build the company, and Daniel needed your money to save his failing real estate business. The truth hit Maya like physical blows. Every memory, every moment she thought was real, crumbled to dust. The late nights Daniel spent working were with Sophia. The business advice Sophia gave that seemed so helpful was designed to make Maya dependent on them. The romantic gestures were calculated moves in a long con. The wedding is off, Maya said, her voice now ice cold. And so is our partnership, Sophia. You're fired. Daniel's mask finally slipped, revealing something ugly beneath. You can't fire her. Check your contract, sweetheart. Any major personnel decisions require unanimous agreement from both partners. And Sophia isn't going anywhere. Then I'll walk away from my own company. Do that, Sophia said, crossing her arms. But you signed non-compete agreements. You can't practice architecture in this city for 5 years. Your reputation will be destroyed when we tell everyone you abandoned your projects. Your clients will sue. You'll lose everything. Maya looked between them, seeing clearly for the first time. They had trapped her perfectly. If she stayed, they would slowly push her out and steal everything she built. If she left, she would be ruined professionally and financially. Get out of my sight, Maya whispered. Both of you. She turned and walked away, her wedding dress dragging through the dirt and grass. Behind her, she heard Daniel call out, "Where are you going?" "We need to tell the guests something." Maya didn't answer. She kept walking until she reached the parking lot, climbed into her car still wearing her wedding dress, and drove away from the life she thought she knew. The fall. The next 3 months were hell. Daniel and Sophia moved fast. They leaked stories to industry blogs about Maya's mental breakdown and abandonment of her projects. Clients panicked and pulled their contracts. The few who stayed were reassured by Sophia's calm professionalism and Daniel's smooth explanations. Maya tried to fight back, but the legal contracts she had signed in good faith now became chains. Her lawyers shook their heads sadly. Everything was technically legal, if morally bankrupt. Her savings drained quickly. Legal fees, broken contracts, and the cost of simply surviving in an expensive city ate through her money like fire. She moved from her luxury apartment to a small studio in a rough neighborhood. She sold her car, her designer clothes, everything that reminded her of her old life. The worst part wasn't the money. It was the isolation. Friends she thought were real turned out to be fair-weather companions who disappeared when her status dropped. Her phone stopped ringing. Invitations dried up. She became invisible. At night, Maya sat in her tiny apartment and wondered how she had been so blind. Every sign had been there. Sophia's subtle put-downs disguised as jokes. Daniel's interest that always seemed to peak around financial discussions. The way they exchanged glances when they thought she wasn't looking. She had been so focused on building her dream that she missed the nightmare growing beside her. Depression settled over her like a heavy blanket. Some days, getting out of bed felt impossible. She stopped checking her email, stopped answering her phone, stopped pretending everything would be okay. The mysterious encounter. On a cold evening in late October, Maya sat in a small coffee shop on the edge of downtown. It was the kind of place tourists never found, with peeling paint and mismatched chairs, but the coffee was cheap and no one bothered her. She had $23 in her bank account and no prospects. Tomorrow, she would need to call her parents and admit complete failure. The thought made her want to disappear. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Maya looked up, ready to say yes, when she saw the man standing beside her table. He was tall, with dark hair touched with silver at the temples, sharp cheekbones, and eyes so intensely blue they seemed to see straight through her. His suit probably cost more than her rent for 3 months. Everything about him screamed wealth and power, yet his expression held something unexpected, understanding. It's all yours, Maya said, turning back to her cold coffee. The man sat down but didn't pull out a phone or laptop. He simply studied her with those penetrating eyes. "You're Maya Richardson," he said. Not a question. Maya's stomach dropped. "If you're here to gloat or serve me papers, just get it over with." "Neither. My name is Ethan Cross. And I have a proposition for you." Ethan Cross. The name rang distant bells. Maya searched her memory, then it clicked. Cross Industries, one of the largest investment firms in the country. This man was a billionaire, though he kept a surprisingly low profile for someone so wealthy. "Why would someone like you want anything from someone like me?" Maya asked bitterly. "In case you haven't heard, I'm persona non grata in this city." "I've heard." Ethan leaned back, his gaze never leaving her face. "I've heard a lot of things. I've also done my research. Daniel Carter and Sophia Chen orchestrated one of the most elegant long cons I've seen in years. They destroyed you methodically, legally, and thoroughly." "Thanks for the recap," Maya said, anger flaring. "Is there a point to this?" "The point is that you're brilliant, talented, and you've been burned badly. That makes you perfect for what I need." Despite herself, Maya was curious. "Which is?" "Revenge." The word hung in the air between them, dark and tempting. Ethan continued, "I need an architect for a major project. A building that will reshape the city's skyline. But more than that, I need someone who understands what it's like to be betrayed by people you trusted. Someone hungry enough to fight back." "Why me specifically?" "There are hundreds of architects who would kill for a project like that." "Because Daniel Carter is my half-brother." Maya's breath caught. She studied Ethan's face again, and now she saw it, the similar bone structure, the same shade of hair, though everything else about them was different. "You're related to him?" "Unfortunately. Same father, different mothers. I'm the legitimate son who inherited the family business. Daniel is the bastard child who always felt cheated of his birthright." Ethan's voice carried old pain. "He's been trying to destroy me for years, using increasingly unethical methods. Your company was supposed to be his way in. He planned to use the architecture firm as a front for money laundering and fraud, slowly incorporating my business as a client, then bringing me down from the inside." Maya felt sick. She had been a pawn in a game she didn't even know was being played. "So what do you want from me?" Ethan leaned forward, his voice low and intense. "I want to give you back everything they took. Your reputation, your career, your dignity. In exchange, you help me design something that will end Daniel's schemes forever. We work together, we plan carefully, and we make them pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment of pain they caused." "That's illegal," Maya said, though her heart beat faster. "I'm not talking about breaking laws. I'm talking about beating them at their own game. Using the system they manipulated against them. Exposing their crimes, saving their victims, and ensuring they face real consequences." Maya wanted to say no. She wanted to be better than revenge, to take the high road, to walk away with her integrity intact. But as she sat in that coffee shop with $23 to her name and no future in sight, something dark and determined unfurled in her chest. "What exactly do you have in mind?" Ethan smiled, and it was like watching a predator recognize a kindred spirit. "The proposal." They moved to Ethan's car, a sleek black sedan with tinted windows. Inside, he opened a laptop and showed Maya documents that made her blood run cold. Daniel and Sophia hadn't just conned her. They had a history of similar schemes stretching back years. Small-time cons that grew progressively more ambitious. Maya was their biggest score yet, but investigations showed they were already setting up their next victim, a widow who had inherited a construction company. "I've been tracking Daniel for 2 years," Ethan explained. "Ever since he tried to sabotage one of my deals. But he's careful, always staying just on the legal side of fraud. I need someone on the inside, someone with legitimate architectural credentials who can help me build a case while also creating something that will bury him professionally." How? I'm developing a massive mixed-use complex downtown. Shopping, residential, office space, the works. It's a $500 million project that will define this city's growth for the next decade. Every major firm is competing for the contract. Maya's professional instincts kicked in despite everything. Including Richardson and Chen? Sophia has been courting my development team for months. She doesn't know I'm aware of the connection to Daniel. Right now, she thinks she's the front runner for the contract. But you're going to give it to me instead. Yes. Publicly, you'll be the comeback story, brilliant architect getting a second chance. You'll have unlimited resources and creative freedom. Privately, you'll help me document every illegal move they make trying to sabotage you. And you'll design something so spectacular that when the building is complete, no one will remember Sophia Chen's name. They'll only remember yours. Maya's mind raced. It was risky. If it backfired, she would lose what little she had left. But if it worked, why should I trust you? For all I know, this is another con. Ethan closed the laptop and met her eyes. You shouldn't trust me. Not yet. Trust is earned, and I haven't earned yours. But I can offer you something Daniel and Sophia never did, honesty. I'm using you for my purposes, yes. I want revenge on my brother, and you're a means to that end. But unlike them, I'm telling you this up front. And unlike them, I'll give you real power, real resources, and real support. When this is over, you'll walk away with your career restored and your dignity intact. That's my promise. The brutal honesty was strangely refreshing after months of lies. What's to stop me from taking the contract and walking away? Refusing to help with the revenge part? Absolutely nothing, Ethan said. If you want to design the building and ignore everything else, that's your choice. But I don't think you will. I think you're angry, Maya. I think you want them to hurt the way they hurt you. And I think you're smart enough to know that sometimes, the best revenge is simply becoming so successful that your enemies become irrelevant. He was right. Maya was angry. Furious. And beneath the depression and defeat, something fierce was waking up. I want creative control, she said. Complete freedom to design what I want. Done. I want a salary that reflects my real worth. Not charity, not a handout, actual market rate for a project this size. Already calculated. $300,000 for the design phase, bonuses for completion milestones. Maya's head spun. That was more than she had made in the best year of her career. And I want your word that you won't make me do anything illegal or unethical. I won't plant evidence, I won't lie under oath, I won't become the villain to catch the villains. Ethan extended his hand. You have my word. We do this right, or we don't do it at all. Maya looked at his hand, seeing both salvation and danger. This man was offering her everything she needed, resources, purpose, a way forward. But he was also asking her to embrace the darkness that had been growing in her heart since that terrible day in the garden house. Could she do it? Could she become someone who planned revenge while maintaining her integrity? She thought of Daniel's smug face. Sophia's cold betrayal. The nights she cried herself to sleep. The dreams she watched burn to ash. Maya took Ethan's hand. Let's make them pay. The smile that crossed Ethan's face was equal parts triumphant and dangerous. But as his fingers closed around hers, Maya felt something else too, a spark of electricity that had nothing to do with revenge and everything to do with the mysterious man who had just become her unlikely ally. Welcome to the team, Maya Richardson. Let's show them what a mistake looks like. As the car pulled away from the coffee shop, Maya caught her reflection in the window. For the first time in months, she saw something other than defeat in her eyes. She saw fire. Part 2, Flames of Vengeance and Desire. The transformation begins. Maya stood in the lobby of Cross Tower, the 60-story glass and steel monument to Ethan's empire. The morning sun reflected off countless windows, making the building appear lit from within. 6 weeks ago, she had been broken. Now, she held a key card granting her access to one of the most prestigious addresses in the city. Impressive, isn't it? Ethan appeared beside her, 2 coffee cups in hand. He offered her one, a perfect latte with foam art. He'd remembered how she took her coffee from their second meeting. Intimidating is more like it, Maya admitted, accepting the cup. Good. That's how I want Daniel and Sophia to feel when they realize what's happening. They rode the elevator to the 45th floor, where Ethan had set up a private studio for Maya. When the doors opened, she gasped. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic city views. Top-of-the-line drafting tables, computers with the latest design software, and a full library of architectural reference materials filled the space. In the corner sat a comfortable seating area with a couch, chairs, and even a small kitchen. This is too much, Maya breathed. This is what you deserve, Ethan corrected. What you always deserved but were too busy being humble to demand. Over the following weeks, Maya threw herself into work with an intensity she'd never experienced. Designing the cross-metropolitan complex became her obsession. She sketched until her hands cramped, modeled until her eyes burned, and revised until every line was perfect. Ethan was there through it all, sometimes working silently at his own desk, sometimes offering input, often just keeping her company through long nights. He never pushed, never demanded, never treated her like an employee. Instead, they became partners in the truest sense. You're thinking too small, he said one evening, studying her latest renderings. This is brilliant, but it's safe. You're still designing like someone afraid to take up space. Excuse me? Maya bristled. Look at this. He pulled up images of her old work, buildings she'd designed before Daniel and Sophia's betrayal. These structures were bold, innovative, almost defiant. Now you're designing something that whispers when it should shout. Maya studied the comparison, and hated that he was right. Somewhere in her pain, she'd started designing like someone who expected to fail. What do you suggest? Ethan leaned close, his shoulder brushing hers as he pointed to the screen. The contact sent unexpected warmth through her. Here, this central tower. Make it taller, more dramatic. Twist it, make it spiral toward the sky like it's reaching for something impossible. Let everyone who sees it know that the architect refused to be contained. His passion ignited something in Maya. She began sketching with fierce energy, transforming the conservative design into something breathtaking. The central tower twisted upward like a dancer, surrounded by lower buildings that seemed to orbit it. Green spaces wove through the complex like rivers of life through concrete and glass. Yes, Ethan breathed, watching her work. That's the Maya Richardson the city needs to see. As the design took shape, so did their plan for exposing Daniel and Sophia. Ethan's investigators had been busy. They discovered that Sophia had been systematically overcharging clients, pocketing the difference. Daniel had been running a parallel real estate scam, buying properties through shell companies and then having Richardson and Chin coincidentally recommend them to clients at inflated prices. They're getting bolder, Ethan explained during one of their strategy sessions. Sophia submitted a bid for the cross-metropolitan project that's 20% higher than any competitor, but with inferior materials. She's counting on her supposed relationship with my development team to get the contract regardless of quality. And when she doesn't get it? She'll make mistakes. Angry people always do. We'll be watching. The public reveal. The announcement came on a Tuesday morning. Every major architectural publication, business journal, and news outlet ran the same headline: Disgraced architect Maya Richardson returns with billion-dollar cross-metropolitan project. Maya's phone exploded with messages. Some congratulatory, many confused, and a few venomous. She ignored them all except two. From Daniel, you think you're clever? This won't end well for you. From Sophia, sleeping with Ethan Cross for a contract? I thought you had more dignity. Maya showed the messages to Ethan. His jaw tightened dangerously. Send this to Daniel, he said, typing on his own phone. Tell him exactly what I say. Maya watched as he composed a message. My relationship with Ms. Richardson is purely professional and based solely on her extraordinary talent. Perhaps you're confused because you've never experienced a professional relationship that wasn't built on manipulation and fraud. By the way, expect a call from my lawyers regarding the Henderson project. We've discovered some interesting discrepancies. The Henderson project? Maya asked. A deal Daniel tried to sabotage last year. I've been gathering evidence. Time to let him know the walls are closing in. The effect was immediate. Within hours, Daniel called an emergency board meeting at Richardson and Chen. Maya knew this because Ethan had sources inside the company, a disgruntled junior architect who Sophia had mistreated once too often. They're panicking, the source reported. Daniel's yelling about you being a vindictive witch, Sophia's insisting they can still win other major contracts. But clients are already calling, asking questions about your departure. The comeback story is making them look worse than they thought possible. Maya should have felt triumph. Instead, she felt strangely empty. What's wrong? Ethan asked that evening. They were in her studio, reviewing structural engineering reports, but he'd noticed her distraction. I thought revenge would feel better than this. It's not revenge yet, he said quietly. That's just them reaping consequences. Real revenge comes when they lose everything they stole from you. When they face justice. When they understand the full weight of what they've done. Is that what you want? For Daniel to understand? Ethan's expression darkened. I want him to feel what I felt when he destroyed my mother's reputation with lies. When he tried to ruin my company. When he proved that sharing blood means nothing against greed and jealousy. What happened with your mother? For a long moment, Ethan didn't answer. Then he stood and walked to the windows, his reflection ghostly in the dark glass. My father was a difficult man. Successful, powerful, and unfaithful. Daniel's mother was one of many affairs. When she got pregnant, my father paid her off and told her to disappear. She didn't. She kept coming back, demanding more money, threatening scandals. Ethan's voice grew harder. My mother tried to make peace with her. Offered to help, to set up a trust for Daniel. But Daniel's mother was bitter and determined to destroy our family. She spread lies about my mother, claiming she was cruel and vindictive. The society circles my mother moved in turned on her. Within a year, she had a breakdown. Ethan, I'm sorry. Daniel was 10 when his mother died of a drug overdose. He blamed my family. My father had passed by then, so he focused his hatred on me. Every success I had, he tried to undermine. Every relationship I built, he tried to poison. The Henderson project was just the latest in a long list. Maya moved to stand beside him, their reflections side by side in the glass. Revenge won't bring your mother back, she said softly. No. But it might prevent him from destroying anyone else. They stood in silence, two wounded people staring out at a city that had hurt them both. Then Ethan turned to her, and the intensity in his eyes made Maya's breath catch. Why are you really doing this, Maya? Not the project, I know you need the work. But the revenge part. You could design this building and walk away from everything else. Maya considered lying, but Ethan had been brutally honest with her. He deserved the same. Because I'm angry. Because I want them to feel what I felt. Because every time I close my eyes, I see Daniel's face when he talked about me like I was nothing but a means to an end. Her voice broke slightly. I want to matter. I want my pain to mean something. You do matter. Ethan stepped closer, and Maya's pulse quickened. You matter more than you know. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility. Maya could feel the heat of his body, smell his cologne mixed with coffee and the city air from the open window. She should step back, maintain professional distance. This was already complicated enough. But she didn't step back. And neither did he. This is dangerous, Maya whispered. I know. If we cross this line. I know. His hand lifted, fingers gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was tender, asking permission rather than taking. Maya's heart hammered. She was about to make another potentially disastrous decision. But looking into Ethan's eyes, seeing the vulnerability beneath his powerful exterior, she realized something crucial. This wasn't like Daniel. Ethan wasn't hiding who he was. He wasn't pretending to feel something he didn't. The attraction between them was real, complicated, maybe even inadvisable, but real. She kissed him. It was gentle at first, tentative, both of them aware they were crossing into territory that could destroy their partnership. But then Ethan's arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, and Maya felt something shift deep inside. This wasn't just physical attraction. This was recognition, two damaged souls finding unexpected comfort in each other. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "Well," Ethan said, his voice rough, "that complicates things." Maya laughed, surprised she still could. "Everything about this situation is already complicated. What's one more layer?" "Maya, I need you to know, this isn't about the project or revenge. I've been falling for you since that day in the coffee shop when you looked at me with fire in your eyes and refused to be a victim." "I was absolutely being a victim." "No, you were wounded. There's a difference. Victims stay down. You got up." His thumb traced her jawline. "You're extraordinary, Maya Richardson. And this," he gestured between them, "is the only real thing in my carefully constructed world." Maya wanted to believe him. But trust, once shattered, was hard to rebuild. "I need time," she said. "I need to know this is real and not just two people bonding over mutual enemies. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." The trap springs. The next phase of the plan rolled out over the following month. Maya's design for the cross-metropolitan complex was publicly revealed at a major architectural conference. The response was overwhelming. Critics called it visionary, bold, a masterpiece that would define the next generation of urban design. Sophia and Daniel attended the conference. Maya saw them across the crowded hall, their faces masks of forced congratulations while fury burned in their eyes. "Smile and wave," Ethan murmured in her ear, his hand resting lightly on her lower back. "Let them see you happy." Maya did, and it felt genuine. Because she was happy. Not because of the revenge, but because she was doing work she loved, surrounded by people who respected her talent, standing beside a man who saw her as an equal. The trap was simple but effective. Ethan's team leaked false information suggesting that Cross Industries was having financial troubles. Daniel, ever opportunistic, took the bait. He began making calls to investors, spreading rumors designed to drive down Cross Industries' stock prices so he could buy in cheap and potentially gain control. What Daniel didn't know was that every call was being recorded. Every email tracked. Every fraudulent claim documented. "He's so predictable," Ethan said, watching the evidence pile up. "He can't resist trying to kick someone when he thinks they're down." But Maya found no joy in watching Daniel destroy himself. As the weeks passed and their relationship deepened, she began to wonder if revenge was worth the cost. One night, lying in Ethan's arms in his penthouse apartment, she voiced her doubts. "What if we're becoming as bad as they are?" Ethan was quiet for a long moment. "We're not planting evidence or lying. We're just giving him the rope and letting him hang himself. But we're doing it with intention. We're orchestrating his downfall." "Yes. Does that make you uncomfortable?" Maya considered. "It makes me wonder who I'm becoming." Ethan shifted to look at her, his blue eyes serious in the dim light. "You're becoming someone who refuses to let bad people win. There's nothing wrong with that. But where does it end? When is the revenge enough? When they can't hurt anyone else. When they face consequences. When justice is served. Justice or vengeance? Is there a difference?" Maya didn't have an answer. But she knew she was falling in love with Ethan, and that terrified her almost as much as the revenge plot. The unexpected complication. Everything changed when Maya received a package at her studio. Inside was a flash drive and a note: "You deserve to know the truth about Ethan Cross. Open file, the real plan. Doc, if you want to see what he's really using you for." Maya's hands trembled as she inserted the drive. Part of her wanted to throw it away, to trust Ethan. But another part, the part that had been burned before, needed to know. The file contained email exchanges between Ethan and his legal team from 6 months before Maya's wedding day. Her blood ran cold as she read. Target identified: Maya Richardson. Brilliant architect, engaged to Daniel Carter. Appears to trust easily. Could be useful in building case against DC if we can separate her from him and recruit her to our side. Suggest orchestrating public confrontation or scandal that would turn her against him. There was more. Plans to leak information to Maya about Daniel's affairs. Strategies for approaching her when she was vulnerable. Timelines that suggested Ethan had been manipulating events long before he happened to run into her at that coffee shop. Maya's world tilted. She thought she'd learned her lesson about trust. She thought she'd been careful. But she'd walked straight into another trap. The studio door opened. Ethan entered, smiling, carrying takeout from her favorite restaurant. The smile died when he saw her face. "Maya? What's wrong?" She held up the flash drive. "Tell me this isn't real. Tell me you didn't orchestrate everything from the beginning." Ethan's expression shifted through several emotions: surprise, understanding, then resignation. "Where did you get that?" "That doesn't matter." "Is it real?" He set down the food slowly, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. "Yes. Those emails are real." Maya felt like she'd been punched. "So everything, meeting me, the project, us, it was all planned?" "No. Maya, listen. I'm done listening to men who use me." She stood, grabbing her jacket. "I was so stupid. Again. I thought you were different." "I am different." Ethan moved to block her path, but didn't touch her. "Yes, I researched you. Yes, I knew about Daniel before your wedding. I was looking for any way to get to him, and you were a potential asset. But that was before I met you. Before I knew you. You manipulated me. You waited until I was at my lowest, and you used that to recruit me. Everything you said about honesty was a lie. I never lied about my intentions regarding Daniel. I told you from the beginning I wanted revenge and that you were part of that plan. But you didn't tell me you'd been planning it for months. You didn't tell me you'd been investigating me, manipulating circumstances. To save you." Ethan's voice rose. "Daniel was going to destroy you regardless. I just accelerated the timeline so I could be there to catch you when you fell. I didn't need to be caught. I needed to not be pushed in the first place. I didn't push you. They did. I just made sure you landed somewhere soft instead of shattering completely." Maya shook her head, tears finally breaking free. "I can't do this. I can't trust you. I can't trust anyone. Maya, please." Ethan's voice cracked. "What we have is real. Everything that's happened between us, the conversations, the connection, the feelings, none of that was planned. I couldn't have planned falling in love with you. You're a billionaire who orchestrates complex revenge schemes. You can plan anything." She pushed past him and left, the door closing with devastating finality behind her. Ethan stood alone in the studio, surrounded by Maya's brilliant designs, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt like he'd lost something that mattered more than revenge. Part 3: Love's Ultimate Revenge. The Gala Confrontation. The annual City Development Charity Gala was the social event of the season. Every powerful person in architecture, real estate, and urban development attended. It was the perfect stage for Maya's return to society, and Ethan had secured her an invitation months ago. Maya almost didn't go. After discovering Ethan's initial manipulation, she'd considered abandoning the entire project. But then she looked at her designs for the cross-metropolitan complex, the best work of her life, and realized something important. She'd created something beautiful not because of Ethan's plan, but despite it. The building was hers, born from her talent, her vision, her refusal to stay broken. Whatever Ethan's initial intentions, she had taken his resources and transformed them into art. She wouldn't let him take that from her. And she wouldn't let Daniel and Sophia think they'd won. So she put on a stunning emerald dress that made her skin glow, styled her hair in elegant curls, and walked into that gala with her head high,